That's the mode you're in when you're
all right.
ready. But he's going to have to switch.
Mm-hmm.
Once he clicks stream and stuff, he's got to get you back here.
Yes. Hi, I'm Linda Moulton Howe, reporter and editor of Earthfiles.com and the Earthfiles YouTube channel. Yesterday, on Tuesday, October 10th, 2017, Tom DeLonge, the Blink 182 rock star and founder of To the Stars Academy, released on Facebook an announcement that this morning, October 11th, he would do a live stream presentation of the brightest minds, he said, from within the top secret shadows of aerospace, science, and the Department of Defense. For 2 years, Tom has been doing interviews with me, George Knapp, and other. And we are trying a new teleprompter, and we're having problems with it, so forgive me. For 2 years, Tom has been doing interviews with me, George Knapp, and other media about organizing military and science advisors to open up the truth that we're not alone in this universe. In January 2016, Tom DeLonge and I talked at length by phone about what we both think are true facts about our ancient history, that the so-called Greek gods and Anunnaki were not mythology. We have both been told by background whistleblowers that those ancient gods were actually advanced intelligences from somewhere beyond Earth, based on this planet and harvesting genetic materials from plants, animals, and humans in order to create clones and hybrids for reasons not well understood. That discussion with me was after Tom DeLonge in 2015 to 2016 was told that the alien presence is an existential risk, meaning life is not guaranteed for humans, and an extinction event could be triggered by unfriendly aliens to deliberately wipe out Homo sapiens sapien. Tom DeLonge was told this is a crucial time for humanity to learn that we are not alone in this universe, and that friendly and unfriendly others have been interacting with this planet for millions of years, some even dominating humans as alien gods of Greece, India, the Yucatan, Peru, Mesopotamia, Atlantis, and around the world for eons. But this morning, on October 11th, 2017, Tom introduced a new set of advisors along with his new corporation called To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science. Tom DeLonge is president and CEO. His aerospace division director is Steve Justice, recently retired program director for advanced systems from Lockheed Martin, Advanced Development Programs, also known as Skunk Works. Lou Elizondo, he will be To the Stars director of global, and we are having a terrible problem with our teleprompter. I hope you all will have some patience here. We're trying this so that I could do more like a news event, but the technology is acting erratically. So we will just continue and mark this up as our second Earthfiles YouTube channel, and we are going to have to get a different teleprompter apparently, but continuing with, in addition, on this group of panel that he's going to have, Tom DeLonge is going to have in To the Stars, is a man well known in the Defense Department. His name is Louis Elizondo, and he is going to be the director of global security for To the Stars. And he said in a quote, Mr. Elizondo, quote, "I am accustomed to being a counterintelligence agent case officer and an intelligence practitioner. However, by far the most interesting effort I was ever involved with was the topic of advanced aerial threats. That was a phrase I had not heard before. Mr. Elizondo worked with the U.S. Army, the Department of Defense, the National Counterintelligence Executive and Director of National Intelligence, and Lou Elizondo conducted and supervised highly sensitive espionage and terrorism investigations around the world. During the past decade, Lou Elizondo ran a sensitive aerospace threat identification program focusing on unidentified aerial technologies. That phrase, advanced aerial threats, is being used by To the Stars instead of UFOs and UAPs, which are unidentified flying objects and unidentified aerial phenomena. Another To the Stars phrase that they are using instead of UFOs and UAPs is advanced technology of observed vehicles. Also introduced in this morning's live stream To the Stars was Chris Mellon, who will join Tom DeLonge as National Security Affairs Advisor. Christopher Mellon has served 20 years in the federal government as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence in the Clinton and Bush administrations. In addition, Chris Mellon worked on Capitol Hill, including as the Minority Staff Director of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. He holds a master's in international affairs from Yale University. Tom DeLonge has also asked Harold Puthoff, theoretical physicist with a PhD from Stanford University. Dr. Puthoff is director of the Institute for Advanced Study in Austin, Texas. Tom DeLonge asked him to join To the Stars as Vice President of Science and Technology. Dr. Puthoff has worked on electron beam devices, lasers, space propulsion, and zero-point energy for the CIA and National Security Agency and Stanford University and SRI International. In this morning's live stream event, Dr. Puthoff did not make any comments, perhaps because he cannot violate the several non-disclosure agreements in his long career. Another advisor to Tom DeLonge, who did not speak either in this live stream this morning, is going to be Tom DeLonge's Vice President To the Stars Operations. His name is Jim Semivan. He was a senior intelligence service member of the Central Intelligence Agency. He retired from the CIA's Directorate of Operations after 25 years of clandestine service overseas and domestically as a senior intelligence officer. Tom DeLonge asked Jim Semivan to write the foreword for the paperback edition of the book series that Tom is doing called Secret Machines, and the paperback version of Chasing Shadows came out in early 2017. In that foreword, Jim Semivan from the CIA wrote, quote, "As for my formal introduction to the phenomenon, as we know it in today's context, it came suddenly and unexpectedly. I will not attempt to go into the experience here, but I will say that it was one of life's game changers for both my wife and me. The experience was simultaneously frightening, perplexing, frustrating, and absurd. It was also both physical and emotional, although I am undecided as to whether there was any spiritual addendum. Almost 30 years later, I am still not sure what to make of the experience." And what he was talking about was an abduction experience. What I do know, however, is that this event changed my view of what constitutes our collective version of reality. Close quote. So I was surprised this morning to see and hear the appeals for money from the public so that To the Stars could build an exotic craft based on physics of the advanced aerial threat and observable phenomena, which in plain language are UFOs. From everything that I have been exposed to in the last 39 years, our government already has back-engineered craft and other technologies, and perhaps even the ability to travel in time and to penetrate other dimensions. This planet is so long overdue in hearing the truth that we're not alone in this universe, and that advanced intelligences and technologies have been interacting with Earth for thousands, probably millions of years. So let's all ask our representatives for the basic right of a government of, by, and for the people. Just confirm the truth that we are not alone in this universe, and then we can build spacecraft to go wherever we can go. Now, here are some of the interesting comments from all of you in the Earthfiles and Earthfiles YouTube channel audience that came this morning and afterward. Karen Last wrote, I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but wherever someone is asking for donations or investments, I go to being a little suspect. I hope I'm wrong. They are trying to recreate the technology through public funding because they know the government powers that be will never release it to the public. Sheldon Fatt wrote, it's something, but overall, I don't know if I like the strategy. Why do we have to pay to roll out the technologies when our tax dollars have paid for them in the first place? We are not asking for blueprints for weapons. We just want the solutions that powers for our home. We are asking for solutions that don't use gas for our vehicles. And if this was a big moment to capture his investors, certainly Tom DeLonge could have revealed some secrets of Roswell that would solidify his point. Instead, secrets are being withheld again. Also, what kind of announcement is it when all they talk about is a negative alien agenda? What about all the positive and neutral encounters? Bruce Caldwell wrote, I am so thankful to have learned of this effort. The potential here is beyond anything we have yet collectively imagined, so this is about time. Michael Ritzema said, I think it's a good idea, especially the entertainment department. I think it's an interesting concept with good people involved. I'm guessing you have to start such a venture quietly, but I have faith that they will discover interesting things which will be in the public domain, and that's what sets this apart from anything else. They also appear to be commercially minded, which is vital if they want this to be sustainable. Kudos to Tom DeLonge and to the stars. Jay Figg wrote, Tim Cook, meaning Apple's CEO, the style presentation trying to sell an idea with a core that people are skeptical and polarized. Well, the media would have to grab it collectively for this to be something people will listen to. And even then, as ambitious as it is, there's nothing for skeptics to sink their teeth into in terms of tangible evidence. A lot of folks just want to see an alien in the same way that they want to see an iPhone when Tim Cook presents. That's the only way they'll listen, unfortunately. Just the culture that we live in these days. Dean Morris said, well, I'm all for full disclosure, and I do understand the pretext that these guys are trying to do it. However, some of the problems in the past with outing new technology and info appears to have been through greed and personal gain getting in the way. If this group genuinely wants this, then maybe we will get to the truth. And on that note, I would like to say to all of you tonight, this was an experiment in a teleprompter that didn't work very well, but I hope that the important part is we had a very, very interesting and valuable live stream this morning to think about and consider from To the Stars and Tom DeLonge and his advisors. And that perhaps this is signaling that we are at a crucial and very important intersection, as I've talked about before, where that people who have been in the government and they have not been able to talk because of non-disclosure agreements and special access programs, that maybe this will be the beginning where the government and the black programs and the secret space program are finally going to start coming out a little bit more, so that the public and the black programs are finally going to be maybe helping each other. And that if Tom DeLonge 2 years ago was told that some of the non-humans might be an existential threat, it still means that there are others that have been helping us. And that one of the things that I am most interested in my work at Earthfiles.com, and I hope to keep reporting for you on this Earthfiles YouTube channel, is that I am convinced, both from remote viewers and from people in the abduction syndrome and whistleblowers who have talked to me over the years, it isn't simple. It is a mixed bag, positive and negative. And if Tom DeLonge and his advisors of extremely valuable people are willing now to finally begin to shake hands with us in the public and say, let's do this together. Let's really, truly go forward now in some kind of a collaboration, not in fear, but with enthusiasm to understand what is out there, what will help us get to the stars. And on that note, I would like to throw this open to all of you to start asking some questions and making comments tonight. And Lori Moriarty, who works with me on Facebook and Twitter and the YouTube channel, she will try to tell me what some of your questions and comments are. Hopefully, we will get the teleprompter smoothed out. We are trying to make this as good as we can, and we thought the teleprompter was running at a really nice pace, and as soon as we got on the air, it was all over the place. So thank you for your understanding. And Lori, do we have any comments or questions? Oh, Stephen Anita Smith, Lori is saying that I owe you a big hello and thank you for a super chat. No, I have not. If you would send me an email to bypass some of the work that we all need to do to earthfiles@earthfiles.com and give me, yes, about John Leonard, and how do you spell that last name? Walson, a UK writer. I would like to learn more. All of you, I am amazed at some of the questions and some of the book references that some of you have been sending me. And somehow we can have a dialogue that is going to be both educational and collaborative here. So I would look forward, and I'm just recommending that a lot of you who want to get information to me, email to earthfiles@earthfiles.com. Well, what is so interesting, and I really do like Tom DeLonge, and I have known Hal Puthoff for some time, and I know that he has an extraordinary mind, and I don't know the others. But I think that based on the long discussions and the formal interview, recorded interview that I did with Tom over a year ago for Earthfiles.com and for Coast and for work I was doing that is at Earthfiles.com. You can hear that interview with Tom DeLonge because the MP3s are embedded in all my Earthfiles reports. Always know that. When Tom called me for the first time in January of 2016, we had a very long discussion, as I said at the beginning. And what was so refreshing is that Tom DeLonge was telling me that he had had discussions with military people, not this new group that he introduced this morning, but another group, more of a military background, that they thought, that first group, that it would be productive and perhaps a positive way to open up we're not alone in the universe by telling the world that the Greeks and the Anunnaki, that was not mythology, that there really were non-humans with bases, and their advanced understanding of mathematics and astronomy is because these were extraterrestrials, not mythological gods and goddesses. And because I had been exposed to exactly that same concept, 15, 20 years ago, by one of the people who have talked to me with real government knowledge. So for a long time, I had this in the back of my mind as one of the chess layers in this complicated world that we are in now, where there have been so many lies and so much concoction and so many deceits, and that part of the unraveling or the revealing is going to have to be at some point somebody telling the truth about the Greeks and the Anunnaki. So that is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the currently the missing pieces in confirming to the world that we aren't alone and that we've had intelligences interacting with us for millions of years. I think that when Tom DeLonge and I talked, that he made it very clear. I think he made it clear to George Knapp, and I think he's made it clear in his work. He said, there's nothing that they could tell me not to do, not to say, that I would do. He said, I'm not in this for investigative rebellion. So Tom basically approached this whole program with, I want to find people in science and military and entertainment who are willing to collaborate together. And I think because Secret Machines, the first book, was done as fiction, but it was basically painting World War II and Adolf Hitler as being manipulated by non-humans. Okay, so that's Secret Machines Fiction, Volume 1. When you go to Secret Machines having to do with the non-fiction, men and gods and ETs, that is non-fiction done by the brilliant Peter Levenda, who is a master at weaving the dots of history in various categories. And so they are building this big, huge kind of many facets, fiction and nonfiction. And that if this machine keeps building forward with a combination of fiction and nonfiction, that it could be that we will end up with the various levels of people in the United States. Some have a tiny bit of exposure to some of this. Some have a great deal. There are people that don't have any, and there are people in between. And that I think that Tom DeLonge and this new set of advisors The very fact that they are making entertainment be the third, if you had a triangle and you said science, technology, and entertainment, they're being pragmatic and practical about the fact that to reach everybody with confirmation, this isn't disclosure from my point of view or John Burroughs' point of view or a lot of people. That happened in 1947 with Roswell in the headline sense. This is confirmation. This is what we need. We need the confirmation of what so many people have been exposed to. And so in the confirmation, it may be that Tom DeLonge and To the Stars has a vehicle that will have these three main wheels, if you want to put it that way, and that entertainment is going to be the bridge between those who have not been exposed to this and those that have a tremendous amount of exposure, and those in the military and science who have actually had face-to-face with non-humans and a variety of non-humans. And I can say that with confidence because I have had first-hand descriptions from people who have served in the military in various capacities tell me about their own interactions with non-humans. So it's happened at official levels. It's keeping it from the public for a variety of reasons that has been the problem. And today, in 2017, there is the suggestion, both from people in the abduction category, in their exposure with various non-humans in abductions, scientists who have been working on black programs underground for decades. They know that we're dealing with a variety of intelligences and technologies. They already know it. The military that have had the hard work of having to carry out orders of the public is to know nothing. And that goes all the way back to Truman, when they had a very strict policy of denial. It was put in a secret executive order. The public and the media are to be kept away from the facts of an alien presence at all costs. Those words are in those original, the national security, first national security laws. The truth about extraterrestrials or other dimensionals or time travelers or whatever category you want to put the others in that interact with this planet, that the public and the media were to be kept at arm's length from all of it. And those words, at all costs, means in the end that if somebody falls in the category of threatening national security, defined as the public and the media never knowing, then termination of people threatening that policy of denial would have been considered legal. That was a rough and bad time, and I hope we're coming out of it. Thank you. Yeah, one more question. All right. I went to, oh yes, on the Nimitz carrier, where there was some kind of an unidentified aerial phenomena that could go up to 80,000 feet, come down to 50 to 100 feet, stay absolutely stationary. It was photographed by somebody on the Nimitz, and that they had all kinds of anomalies on radar and everything. And they had two F-18 jets that when they came on the scene, there was strange movement by this object. And it shows that this is one of thousands. That is not an overstatement. one of thousands of close interactions by all kinds of military operations, whether naval, marine, army, coast guard, all of it, that I alone have heard so many people in military describing a scene as dramatic as that one, but I think that the reason that it was in the Tom DeLonge press conference today is that it had multiple eyewitnesses that were backed up by photographs, by radar, and that they still had no understanding of what this was, and that the technology was performing in ways that there would be nothing terrestrial that could mimic it at the speeds, the height, the up, the down, rapidly. And certainly there is not a human body that could have survived in any kind of machine that moved like this. And in my own investigations, starting about 12 years ago, it was 2007 was my first exposure to the whole concept from a whistleblower of what are called self-activating software. And the idea might have been what was happening at the Nimitz. You do not need a life form, a prime life form with intelligence operating anything. If you know how to molecularly, at the atomic level, build in self-activating software codes. This is why some of the aircraft and the vehicles, by people who have served in the military, who have been inside of them, have tried to photograph inside of them, and have found it nearly impossible because it's like infinity on the inside and 30 feet in diameter on the outside. They're dealing with a completely different physics. But what the bottom line of consensus has been that a lot of the craft, whether they are triangular or any other shape, at any given time in Earth's skies or in the water, have built into the molecular level all of the software that these craft need to function anywhere, doing anything on this planet. They are like alive, intelligent creatures. And it took a while for our government and our scientists to understand, because in the 1940s, we didn't have a concept of self-activating software built right in to the molecular level of what a craft could be made of. And for those of you who have seen some of the conference presentations I have been done about self-activating software, the science and the physics was being studied by scientists in Palo Alto near Stanford University in the 1980s. What about one more? And then we'll say goodnight. Okay. Kathy Mumford and Vicki, thank you for a super chat. Excellent question. Why are UFOs just flying around? Why aren't they making just direct, straightforward contact with humanity? The best that I know so far to answer that, which has been a question I've asked from the first time I started doing the animal mutilation investigations back in '79. The insights that have been given to me by people who have actually dealt either in trying to back engineer the technology, or scientists like the one I was telling you who worked in a lab near Stanford University on the self-activating software. If we were the product, as I was shown in a briefing paper on April 9th, 1983, And it said, right in this alleged briefing paper for the President of the United States, these extraterrestrial biological entities manipulated DNA in already evolving primates to create Homo sapien. And I accept that sentence as being one of the few facts that have been put in front of people like myself and a reporter and others, sort of trying to put out bits of truth, sometimes buried in a lot of untruth. And that if you take that one sentence in this several pages long document that I was shown, and you say that is the truth because I've heard it from many other people over the years, then as one Defense Intelligence Agency retiree told me, he said, Linda, our government has proof that competing geopolitical, territorial, fighting civilizations who have harvested genetic material from this planet and terraformed this planet have done so for at least 270 million years. And our government has proof. And when I said, well, what is the proof? He said, if I told you, you could be threatened. I can't tell you that. Well, if in 270 million years there have been competing geopolitical territorial conflicts, and that various life forms of standing up primates have been the product of competition, then perhaps the truth is that none of the non-humans want any kind of straightforward dialogue with Homo sapiens sapien, because we are like an evolutionary experiment in a laboratory Earth, and that direct interaction would affect humanity too much and it would destroy the experiments. That's the way it's been described to me. So when does the time come that the experimenter or experimenters do stand in front of us and say, yes, we are the ones who have been on this planet long before you? It doesn't scare me. Everybody I know that I've ever talked to about that content, it doesn't scare them. It just makes me more than ever want to know the truth about our origins, our allies, our enemies throughout the Milky Way galaxy and beyond. And to me, that is exciting, not scary. It's like we're growing up. There is something about this time right now that is like we are moving from being children, maybe into teenagers, in a universe where there are intelligences out there that have been moving in timelines and penetrating other dimensions, perhaps for 1 billion or more years. That, to me, is what should make all of us excited about going, as Tom DeLonge and his advisors say, to the stars. So thank you very much for joining me tonight, and I look forward to working better on the teleprompter and to receiving more of your emails, your chat comments, your questions, and that next Wednesday, we'll see what has happened in the world, and we'll take it on from there. Thank you.